How's it going, fellow knife nuts? Joshua here with Triple J Knife Works, and today I want to talk to you about the program that I use to draw my knives. I use DraftSight. Now, DraftSight is just a 2D drafting program. It doesn't do anything in 3D, only in 2D, but that makes it perfect for drawing out knife templates. It's very simple to use. It took a bit of learning for me. I had to look up a lot of YouTube videos. There weren't many out there. I think I only found one of another knife maker that showed how to use it, and he didn't show a lot of the options. His tutorial was quite simple. So I want to show you how I use it. Of course, I don't know everything about it, but I know how to draw the knives that I make. So what I like to do is I like to start by drawing the bar of steel that I'm going to be using. That way I can stay within inside those dimensions. Today I think we'll draw a simple drop point runner out. Now if you look at the top left here, you're going to notice I'm hovered over line. I'm going to click on line, and I'm going to click anywhere within this black space. Doesn't matter where. Now, as you can see, whenever I go vertical or horizontal, it lets me know when I'm absolutely positively straight. So, I'm going to go straight up and down, and I'm going to start with a bar of steel that's 1.5 by 9. So, we're going to go up and down, and if you look in the bottom left corner of the program, it's going to ask me to specify my next point. And here's where I can just type on the keyboard. Don't have to click anything. It's already chosen when I choose line. I can type 1.5 and I can hit enter. Oh, my mouse got a little bit off. That's fine. We can just hit escape. I can click on the line and hit delete. And now it's gone. Let's try that one more time. Start my line anywhere. Make sure I'm straight up and down. I'll type 1.5. Hit enter. And there I have a line that is 1.5 inches. My next line is going to be horizontal at 9 inches. So I'm going to type 9 and hit enter. Again, I'm going to go vertical, 1.5, enter. And now I can just simply come over here and click and use E-snap. Right here's E-snap. It's on as long as that little box is inside the red and green. We're going to use E-snap to grab onto that point and click. Still got a line. That's fine. It's dragging out. I can hit escape and it'll disappear. So now I have a rectangle that is 1.5 by 9. That represents my knife steel. I want to know where the center point is on the steel. So I'm going to grab line again. And I'm going to actually come to either of these lines. And it's going to show up a little triangle. That triangle is showing me the midpoint of my line. So that's dead center of that 9-inch line. So if I click and I come down here to the other triangle and click, we've now got a line scribed straight down the center of our bar of steel. So now that we got our steel drawn, we know where the midpoint's at, let's start drawing our knife. Now you can use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out. You can also use the middle mouse button or the button that is underneath your mouse wheel, and you can click and drag your drawing around. That way you can get it centered where you know where you're at and what you're doing. So if I'm working on the front, I can drag it and zoom in, and then I'm working on the front, and likewise for the back. We're going to be working on the spine, so I need it centered. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this arch up here, or arc. And as you can see, it specifies that it needs 3 points. So you'll see those on the line. So we need 3 points of contact. Now, if I go here, you see what's happening? You see these yellow marks showing up on the line? That's E-snap. So even though I'm in between these 2 points, if I click, it's going to automatically E-snap to that point. I don't want that, so I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to grab my arc again. I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to turn E-snap off. Now E-snap is this function right down here on the bottom. And if you see, it says F3 is its hotkey. So I can actually just tap F3 or I can click on that. And the box that's inside my cursor disappears. See that? When it's gone, that means E-snap is off. And it even tells you down here at the bottom. So with E-snap off, I'm going to bring it down just in between those 2 points a little bit. I'm going to click. Now I want the top of my spine to be at the very top of this bar still, so I'm going to actually turn E-snap back on, and I'm going to lock into this point here. And then I'm going to turn E-snap off again, and I'm going to come over here at the back of my knife and end my spine. And there we have a nice arch for our spine. Alright, now let's draw the tip and the belly of our knife. So we're going to grab arch again. As you can see, there's no box in the middle of our cursor, so we're going to turn E-snap back on. That way we can get right up here on the tip of the knife and click. Alright, now I'm going to drag this down here. Now you see there's no yellow mark showing up. As long as there's no yellow mark showing up, we don't have to turn E-snap off if we want to stop in a certain place. So I'm going to go ahead and click here, and that's going to start the belly of my blade. Now you look, if I go down to this line, it wants to E-snap to the front. I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to turn E-snap off. I'm going to zoom in with my mouse and come down here on this line and make sure I'm on it and lock it in. Alright, we're locked in. Now, I have two options. I can delete this bottom line and then draw the rest of my belly to this midpoint, or I can actually just use this line to finish the belly of my blade. And I'm just going to use it since it's already there. So if I click on it, I get these blue dots, and I can select any of these blue dots and move them around. So I want to lock onto this point right here, so I'm going to turn my E-snap back on. It locks onto the point, I click, and it's there. I'm going to hit escape to stop the commands. And now we're going to work on the rest of our knife. Alright, let's work back here at the back of the knife. I'm going to grab my line up here at the top left with my E-snap on and snap onto the very back corner of the knife. And we're going to draw a line down this way. Bring it all the way down here. Alright, now I'm going to hit escape and stop. And you're asking me, you say, Josh, isn't that awful pointy on the back? You sure you want that there? Well, we're going to round that over with an option called fillet later. And one of the things that fillet does is it'll actually shorten your corner. So we want this corner to be a little bit longer. So I'm going to click this point and this point, which grabs these two lines, and that allows me to move both lines at the same time if I grab this blue point. And I'm going to bring it out just a hair, maybe 1/4 of an inch, and we'll lock it in there. And you'll see when we use fillet, it'll round that over. Let's hit escape. That way no commands are in. And let's move on to the next part of our knife. Let's add a sharpening notch. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to use circle. See that circle? I'm going to go up here above my drawing to start my circle, and then we'll move the circle in. So if I click up here, I can drag a circle as big or as small as I want. But once again, I can type in either a radius or a diameter down here. And you can see it's already set to radius. It's telling me to specify a radius. Now I can type that in if I know my radius, or I can use diameter. I prefer to use diameter. So if you look down here, it says D is underlined for diameter. So I can just type D and hit enter. And that now says specify diameter. I want a 3/16 inch notch. So I'm going to type in 0.187 for 3/16. You can find all those dimensions on a chart just by Googling it. I'm going to hit enter, and now I have a circle that is exactly 3/16 of an inch. I'm going to choose this circle, and I can now move it by grabbing the center point. If I grab these outside points, it's just going to make it bigger or smaller. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to grab this center point, and that allows me to move my circle. So I want my notch somewhere here, and I want it about 3/16 of an inch from the center line. Well, I could either measure that with the dimension measure up here, or I could actually just move it one circle over. So one circle is 3/16. I can kind of eyeball it if I want to, but there's an easier way. If I lock it into this point and I move it once, twice, 3 times, it's exactly 3/16 inch. from there. So we're going to leave that there. We'll trim all this up later. Now let's add our finger choil. We're going to just use another circle. I'm going to come up here and grab circle. I'm going to start it up here. Now I know my grinder, I have a 1-inch small wheel attachment. So I want this diameter to be 1 inch so it's really easy for me to grind that finger choil in. So I'm going to hit D for diameter again. I'm going to type 1 for 1 inch and hit enter. Now I have a 1-inch circle. Now, same trick. I'm going to click it, grab it by the middle, and I'm going to set it in the center point. But this time I'm only going to move it 1 step over. Because here I have my sharpening notch, I have my ricasso, my plunge will be somewhere in here. So I'm going to leave that there, and my finger choil will be here, and the rest of my handle will be here. Let's hit escape. Remember, we're going to clean all this up later. Let's finish our handle. I don't want my handle to come over straight. I want it to have a nice little arch to it. So I'm going to choose arch. With E-snap on. I'm going to click on this point. I want to come somewhere up in here. Now I can either eyeball it or I can just click somewhere up in here. It doesn't matter. I'll show you why here in just a second. But I'm going to bring this third point over, and as you see, it's wanting to lock in. So we don't want that. We have to turn E-snap off again. So we're going to turn that off. Now, when we go to trim, there has to be solid intersections. If we do this, you'll never get it right with E-snap off. So I'm going to teach you a little trick. If I come down here and I just drop my line below or somewhere inside the circle, I can actually zoom in here, and you see that it's created an intersection here. I can actually use this point to make sure these two lines lock together. So if I choose this line, I choose this point, and I turn my E-snap back on. See, it says there's an intersection there, and I can lock into that, and those lines will butt up against each other. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's zoom back out. Now this arch is too much, so let's bring it down. We can actually grab the center point of our arch and slide it down. And there we go. That looks good. I'm going to hit escape to get out of everything. Now I've got too much going on here. One of the things I can do is start removing lines. I no longer need this line, so I can delete it. I don't need this one on the front, I can click it. I don't need the one on top, I can click it. I don't need this one, I can click it. And then I can click this bottom one because I don't need it anymore. Oh, but look what's going on. If I hit delete now, watch what happens. I just deleted the belly of my blade. Don't want to do that. I can hit Control and Z on the computer keyboard, and it'll actually bring everything back. So now that everything's back, let's just click the lines that we know we don't need right now. And we hit delete and get rid of those. Now, this line, we can either trim it off right here, or we can just bring it in. And let's just bring it in. So I click this last point and bring it up here to where my choil begins. Then I'm locked in. Sorry about that, guys. Screen dimmed on me. Alright, so now we have the belly of our blade, the tip of our blade, the spine, the butt, and the handle made. We just really need to trim up the rest of this. So let's go ahead and hit escape and get everything unselected. Now to trim things, we have to select everything. So the easiest way to select everything is either to click and drag one of these blue boxes around it, and that'll select everything, or if I just hit Control A, it will select everything. So if I do that, it gives me all the parameters I need to trim off this other stuff. So trim function is actually up here. Now you see it says power trim. Power trim is actually a premium feature, and that premium feature you have to pay for. So we're just going to use regular trim. If you look right here beside the power trim, there's a little arrow pointing down. If I click on that, it opens up more options, and there's just regular trim. So we're going to choose that. As you can see, the blue dots disappeared, but we have a checked line all the way around it. That means that everything's selected, and now I just need to choose what I want to get rid of. I want to keep the top part of this circle, but I want the bottom part gone, so I'll just click somewhere on the bottom part, and there it's gone. Same with this one. I want the bottom part gone, so just click, and it's gone. I need this line gone in between the circle. Click, and it's gone. Alright, well that looks pretty good. Now what? Now we got to round these corners over. So let's go ahead and hit escape, back out of everything. And now we're going to go back up to where trim was. We're going to click that little arrow. If you see right here, there's a fillet function. That fillet is just a round over, that's all it is. It rounds and fillets the edges of entities. So, we're going to choose that. And if you look down here at the bottom left, remember that's always going to tell you what you need to do down there. It tells us the mode is trim and that the radius is 0. Well, if the radius is 0, it's not going to get rid of anything. So we need to type a number in there. So I'm going to choose a radius of 1/4 inch. So let's go ahead and type R for radius, hit enter. 0.25 is my radius. I'm going to hit enter again. Now it's asking me to select my entities. Well, my first entity is the spine, so I'm going to click back here on the spine. And then I'm going to click the butt of the knife. And there you go. It rounded it over. Now, I need to do that one more time. So instead of going up here and clicking fillet again, if I hit spacebar will choose the last function that I did. Spacebar is going to go automatically choose fillet for us. As you can see down here, it's going to leave the radius I had in before. So all I have to do is click these two lines. Alright, now let's round this little corner off here and this little corner off here. I'm going to choose fillet one more time. I'm going to type radius, R for radius, because right now we're 0.25. I don't want that. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to put in my radius. I'm going to put 0.0625. Alright. And now when I click these two lines, it rounded it over just a little bit. I'm going to hit space one more time and round that one over. Now there's no hot spots on this knife, except for the tip. Alright, we have our blank drawn out. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to add where our pinholes are going to be at. So I'm going to use circle for that. And if I click on circle and drag a circle out, I'm going to change my diameter, remember, by hitting D, hit enter. Right now it's defaulted at 1 inch. I don't want it there. So I'm going to put it at 0.25. That's 1/4 inch. Barrels I use for my screws is a 1/4 inch. And I can click and drag this and put it anywhere within the handle. But let me teach you a little trick. You want to get these centered, right? Well, if you zoom in and out, you see my cursor stays the same size, but the knife doesn't. So I can actually use this to measure a perfect center distance. Look at there. I'm dead center in between that finger choil and the spine. So I can just click there. Now while we have this highlighted, let's make another circle the same diameter without having to go back up here. We hit Control C for Control Copy, is what Control C is. Then we made a copy of that. We can hit Control V, which is paste, and we've made another one. See that? But we're not grabbed onto the center, so we're going to click up here, click the circle, and grab the center. That way we can use our cursor to get this exactly where we want it. That looks good. Let's put it right there. One more. Let's add a lanyard hole back here. So, if I hit Control V again, I can pull that up. Now look at this. If I go to the radius of this fillet, I can actually get the center point of it, and I can lock that center point in there. So all I do is just drop it, and it's good. Well, there we go, guys. There's our blank. Now we could go in here and we could draw our bevels in. We could draw what our handle's going to look like. And you can do all that with your arches and your lines and all that. That's totally up to you. But this is all I need to be able to print out and put onto a piece of wood or a piece of steel to get a template. So I hope this video was helpful for you all. I hope that it helps you to be a better knife designer and a better knife maker. And I'm always here to help. All you got to do is send me a message on our Facebook page, Triple J Knife Works, and I will always be there to help. It may take me a while to get to you if I'm busy in the shop, but I promise you I'll answer you back. So thanks for watching today, guys, and stay sharp.